So the beginning of the university arc is one of my favorite arcs in the series for Mushoku Tensei, and of course I've only read up to volume 21 so far, so my volume 21 review will be coming out soon. But so far the university arc has always been my favorite, and I think one of the reasons why is a callback to this very episode here and what is to come. And of course I'm not going to be spoiling, but just talking about this episode as a whole, it's sort of that beginning of an amazing journey that I love about the university arc. And of course at the very beginning you have Elinalise, Rudy making their way to the university due to the letter that was giving out Rudy to saying, hey, come to the academy, get a free tuition, and he can study what he desires. And with the man god's influence pushing him towards to going to the university for whatever reason the man god may ever have. I spoke about some of that stuff in my previous video about the man god and his influence on Rudy and whether this was a right or wrong decision, but Rudy has decided to go to the university for a multitude of different reasons, and Elinalise has come along. There were some parts that were skipped in this volume, for this episode. Nothing too critical, to be honest. It was just mostly explanation, kind of explaining Elinalise, the fact that she has money due to her occupation and some of her nighttime activities. It does also show that Rudy now understands about the curse as well, not in probably the full details, but at least the basics of the curse itself. So there's a little bit of stuff that is explained very quickly, but there is a little bit of subtle to the details that are skipped over in this episode. Nothing honestly that I feel like would make or break the episode, and I feel like if you really want every itty gritty little detail, then the light novels are there to explain everything. Or of course you can go to my light novel analysis videos, all that kind of stuff, to gain any extra details and analysis that I have about them. But Elinalise decides to join the university. She has her own money. She does not get a free ride. She has to pay out of her own pocket, but she has plenty of money, as I mentioned, due to her occupation and other activities that she does. And then Rudy gets put into a test because he is a silent caster against another individual that is also a silent caster named Fitz. As I will be referring to him for the best of my ability, I may accidentally refer to it as a she, because everyone knows who Fitz is except Rudy. Rudy is the only one that hasn't realized who Fitz is, or of course Elinalise, but that's Elinalise doesn't know who Fitz or Sylphiette is to begin with. But the main point is that Rudy hasn't realized who Fitz is, and that's one of the fun remarks that Luke makes during lunch, where he's sort of talking to Rudy. Rudy introduces himself. Luke's like, oh, do you even know who I am? Luke then points out who he is, and then basically calls him out and says he's extremely forgetful, which Rudy has no idea what he's talking about, but that's because Luke knows that, of course, who Fitz is, and that Fitz knows Rudy from the past. And so in the actual light novels, Fitz goes back to Luke and Ariel and basically gives them the rundown of the whole situation, and then notes that, hey, Rudy does not in fact remember. That is an interesting discussion and a debate in itself, whether Rudy should or should not have realized who Fitz is and how dumb he is for etc. There's an argument I've seen backwards and forwards, some people saying that Rudy is an idiot for not realizing who Fitz is, and some people saying that it's understandable why Rudy doesn't know who Fitz is. And I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. It might be a video I might discuss and analyze more and look at both perspectives and weigh them up and have a fun discussion there, because I think it is a fun discussion nonetheless about why Rudy may or may not be as dense as a doorknob. It just, again, it depends on how you see Rudy's mind perspective. One way to look at it is that because he's so preoccupied with his mental illness, also other stuff going on, him worrying about his family and everything, and him trying to also fit in, he's just not realized. But again, you could argue either direction. But with that fight between, or I would say more of a mock battle than a fight, where Rudy goes up against Fitz, and Rudy uses a new ability which is silencing, as I like to refer to as a gaming terminology, but basically disrupts Fitz's ability to cast magic. This is something that Rudy learned actually from Orsted, when Orsted did almost, or technically, kill Rudy on the brink of death. Rudy remembered that and learnt that from that situation and then used it in this situation. That's something he also notes in the light novels as well. Rudy feels really bad, sits there and apologizes, kind of brushes it all off, says, oh yeah, you know, they clearly went easy on me. Rudy's just trying to fit in the best he can, and because of his issues going on downstairs and also upstairs as well in his head, he's just trying to overcompensate, trying to fit in as best as possible, trying to be very submissive to everyone and anything around him, trying to not, you know, pull on any chains or anything to rattle anyone up, which is why with the two individuals, the Beast Girls, they're a little bit more difficult to deal with, but Rudy kind of plays it off, does the bow, be's all nice and all the rest. And then there's of course our boy Cliff himself. Cliff gets a brief introduction in this episode, and Cliff is a character you clearly are going to learn more about in the future episodes. He is by far one of my favorite characters, and you will understand why if you're an anime only. Light novel fans will of course know why. Please keep spoilers out of the comment section, but he is definitely one of those characters that will grow on you as time goes on. Rudy then goes to the library and follows through on the man's god's advice on discovering about the teleportation incident. And this is where Fitz, or Sylphiette, learns what happened to Rudy during that incident as well, where he got thrown into a different continent that's much more savage, and Sylphiette, or Fitz, is kind of being a little bit more, oh my god, but again, Rudy is unwiser of who Fitz is. But the little bit of advice on reading a certain book is very nice. It shows a little bit of a touch that, you know, Fitz is just trying to nudge him in the right direction because he understands that Rudy's trying to learn more about it because of the friend, but Rudy also points out that it isn't really that, and he kind of told a Porky. But I think deep down inside he does also kind of want to understand more about the teleportation to try and find the whereabouts of not just Sylphiette, but also help others that may also be looking for missing family members as well, because of course he doesn't need to know where Zenith is because Roxy already knew and passed that information on. So it's one of those episodes that I really absolutely love, and it's just that arc that I'm just going to continue. It's all just peak for me, and the ending to this episode was perfect. The way they did it, the way Rudy accidentally walks in the wrong place, wrong time, ends up picking up underwear of Ariel's. It's all just a misunderstanding, but the girls are very much like really hammering down. And if you notice, Rudy starts sweating, but it's that trauma. His past trauma is starting to kick in, that insecurity. He's just trying to fit in. He's not trying to stand out or anything. It's that, again, it falls back to volume 7 where he's just trying to pacify everyone to the point of almost no return. It's just, it's over the top. He's willing to just submit as much as possible, but Fitz being there to protect him, that's where their first moment comes, where they start to build a close friendship. And where that friendship goes, you'll just have to wait and see if you're an anime-only fan, but it's one of those that I think anime fans will really, really enjoy. But of course, light novel fans, you know where it's going to go. Please, again, do not spoil in the comment section down below. Allow anime-only fans to enjoy the story from that perspective, because it is such an amazing journey to watch the story go through, and I don't want to spoil that for those people that are experiencing it for the first time, because it is a really great story. Seeing Rudy's growth and building and all the other characters around him and how they all grow and build as well is just something that I think is amazing to witness for the first time. So again, I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What did you think of this episode? Absolutely loved it myself, and looking forward to future episodes in the coming weeks. So again, if you like this video, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you beautiful nerds in the next video.